Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. Today, we have a special guest for the show today. Can you go ahead and announce to the world who you are and where you're calling from?
So my real name is Sahebjit, but I go by TJ. I'm calling from California, Sacramento area.
Okay, and can you tell me about the history behind your name before we move on to your past leading up into the present? Because it sounds very powerful.
So it's funny. My name is actually a really big part of my like identity. I'm an immigrant. I came to this country at the age of 5, and no one could say my real name. Everybody in India could say my name, but nobody in America could say my name. Teachers would go do the whole like Isaha. I'm like, look, I just go by TJ. Just let's just move on. Even today, like it's funny. And so, you had to, I guess the word is like assimilate and kind of create a name that people could say to feel more comfortable. And so at 5th grade, I was like sitting in class while everybody else was recess, and I was like, I can't use my real name anymore. I need a name. And I made like a whole math formula out of my name. It was so dumb. It was like a 5th grader trying to like be smart. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna put the T in the front, the J in the back, erase the I, take all this out, and I got TJ at the end. It should have been JT because it's like JIT is my last piece, but I just went with TJ. So that's how I got my name. And it ended up being like Saheb is my cultural identity. It's who I am as an Indian, while TJ is who I am as an American identity. And so my family calls me my real name. Everybody else calls me TJ.
Well said. And um, I don't mean to dig too deep into it because I know your name has meaning. It sounds like it has meaning. But before you take a journey into your past, because you just dipped into your past just a slight bit, tell me, like, do your name have a definition? Is it like all Indians, a lot of Indians or various Indians who use that name? How does that work? Like Kim, my
Here,
name goes around in
here
Asian.
here is the craziest thing. I don't meet other Indians with similar names to me either. Like there's like I had a friend named Jaswinder, Sukhdeep, different like Simran, stuff like that. I'm the only one known that goes by Sahebjit. It's similar to like Sikh temples and everything. There's like there it's a very similar name to Sikh temples. I think it's like Temple of God, like that's the meaning behind it. For me, I think it's meaning as it's like the name relates to my cultural roots. I'm you couldn't tell that I'm an immigrant based on how I talk. I don't really have an accent, and that name still really signifies my like connection to my family's culture and everything. As you become so assimilated into another culture, you get raised in it. Your name, the family name, becomes more deeply valuable. Does that kind of make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes, yes. Tell me about your past leading up into your present. I would love to know.
So it's funny. I always, in my work, I consider myself to focus things on like story based and like myths, mythologies. Growing up, one of my favorite characters was like Goku from Dragon Ball Z or Superman because they were immigrants. They came to a different world, and that's how I felt. I
I
felt
never
like
knew that. I never
yeah,
knew that. Yeah.
they're both like immigrants, aliens from a different world coming in and trying to like, when they're the last of their kind of feels. I grew up in like San Leandro area, and I was surrounded by a lot of white, black, Hispanics, other Asians, but not many Indians. My elementary school, I was literally, I think from what I remember, the only Indian kid. So it felt like I was Goku and Superman in that there's no one else like me. And that became my life and a lot of big theme in my like journey through my career. I work as a therapist, and it's a woman dominated field, mainly white women, and I am coming in as the Indian male therapist. My first supervisor even said, TJ, you're like a unicorn in this field because I never met another male Indian. And it's like, yeah, but it also gave me an outsider perspective on things that not many people think about. It let me connect in different worlds that you get kind of used to. So that's how it kind of shaped me. I came to this country with nobody else looking like me, nobody else that like connected with me in that level. And as I went forward, more and more my experiences were like that. I was always very honestly the only Indian person. And sometimes it kind of sucked. It kind of made you regret looking the way you did. You wanted to feel connected, but that never really happened a lot. That's what I would say.
Tell me something positive about your roots. Tell me what your heritage, for those who are listening, represents and how your culture is enriched with opportunities and values that maybe we don't even know about.
I have a I have a love-hate relationship with my culture. I think that's a lot of different cultures. There's the good and there's the bad. But when I look at the positives and I look at it, one thing I'll tell you about, my culture is that we are very passionate people. When we are really wanting to do something, we will do it. We will not let anything stand in our way. Growing up, my dad used to tell me stories about like Indian warriors and how they like did I think there was a one Indian, like a bunch of soldiers that did the 300 thing where they like stood their ground till the last minute. Like if we care about something, we will fight for it. You can like give us crap, you can say stuff, but the moment you attack our culture, our heritage, our things that are valuable to us, get ready for a fight kind of thing. And that's kind of what I bring in my therapy work is I'm a very passionate person. I get intense and my clients can feel the intensity in the room. I want them to heal and grow. I want them to not stay the same. So that's what I would say about my culture is that we are very passionate people. And as much as I deny my culture sometimes, I still feel the passion of that culture in me.
Well said. Don't ever be afraid to talk about your culture. So, um, tell me about your forensic studies with interviewing, not interviewing, but counseling people, forensic and many other arenas you fit right into counseling. Tell me about those.
So it's interesting. When I got out my master's, I went straight into crisis work. I worked for the county. I did crisis calls. I went out with like the was it the PD to like
Mhm.
people dealing with like psychosis. I was in charge of doing the 5150s. I was the one putting them on like involuntary holds. I also went to the hospitals and evaluated should this person's continuously still be on hold. From there, I jumped into like working with Asian populations dealing with severe mental illness, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder. I did case management and therapy. I went to their homes. I went to their like sober living areas. Then I jumped into forensics mental health, working with like people who have committed crimes who are like stuck at a state hospital, but now they're joining back the community, watching over them, making sure they get their needs met, making sure they're still staying stabilized. Like I jumped from there to I think from there I jumped into like a clinical director position working with comorbidity with autism and severe mental illness as their clinical director. Then I jumped into working with foster kids and like kids with complex trauma. Like trauma work has followed me and I got to see the system in different ways, from the county to nonprofits to just like regular companies trying to like do psychotherapy. I got to go through and see everything. I got to build skills in things and in like areas that people would be afraid of being in. Suicide assessments were my jam. I when I see a client and I talk to them, one of my favorite moments is I was working at Crisis, Yolo County Crisis, and there was this kid that came in, African American kid. He wanted to kill himself. I spent 2 hours in that room with him going, what is going on? Why is that he was having a bad life? He felt like his mom didn't care about him. He didn't feel like people really liked him. And he's only living for his brother. And that's it. If his brother wasn't around, he'd kill himself. That's what he kept telling me. And I sat with him going, let's think this through. Let's talk this out. Where is this going to get you? How is this going to show your younger brother this is the way to live, that when life gets heavy, game over? It doesn't make sense, man. 2 hours of us just going back and forward. At the end, he still had those feelings, but he felt a lot better. And to me, that's a victory. We still had to send him to the hospital, but at the end of it, I was happy to at least be staying with him and help him through it. All the people I've met in my career, I always remember. I remember. I don't know why. I can't remember what my freaking keys are, but I can remember every single client I've ever met. It's just like stuck in my head. And that's why like I love what I do. I will never change it.
Well said, by the way. What constitutes a 5150, or however it's called? What are the grounds?
So a 5150 is essentially like, hey, you can't take care of yourself. You don't know where, like, it's three areas: harm to self, harm to others, and gravely disabled. Harm to others, like you're homicidal. Harm to self, you're suicidal with a plan and means and all that stuff. And lastly, gravely disabled. If I ask you what time it is and you tell me it's like what, midnight, when it's really like 10 a.m., that tells me something. Oh, where are we right now? We're in a spaceship. Oh, who's the president? Al Gore. Like all these kind of things where it's like this person's not coherent, they're not making sense, and that if they were left to their own devices, they might run into traffic or something. I I remember in Yolo County there was this guy. He lived in a, you know, those giant plastic trash bags or trash containers that the garbage people take. He lived in that. That was his home, and he would wear burnt clothes because he was devolving deeper and deeper into psychosis, that we were trying to get him as much support as possible. So like those were kind of the things I saw that would warrant someone to have a 5150, when they can't take care of themselves, when they're trying to like hurt themselves and they have the way to do it. It's like that's what a 5150, it takes away your rights to access to yourself, your rights to be able to make decisions. We put you in a hospital for about 3 days, and then another therapist or social worker will evaluate you again to see, are you ready, are you okay to go, or do you need like a higher level of care.
Have you ever let your emotions take over you constituting a 5150?
Now, I really hold to an objective lens. For me, is this person safe? I grew up in unstability and chaos. That was my life growing up. I got uncomfortable to it. Crisis, that is not uncomfortable to me. Sitting and like watching things freak out, people acting, it's just, I'm more like, okay, what can I control right now? What can I assist with? Where am I mentally and emotionally? I have to put my emotions in like a box for a second, not forever, but temporarily, while I deal with this person. My focus becomes this person, who this person is, what is going on for them. And then once that situation is resolved, I unopen the box and debrief with my team. I had an amazing team in Yolo County. Like we all connected together. TJ, you okay? That was a lot, man. You'd find them like, yeah, how are you doing? We're good? Okay. Like we talked to each other. So no, I never let, were there intense moments where my body was like in shaky a bit? Yes. I'm human. Of course. That's a lot. But the biggest thing was like I still realized it's not about me. It's about who I'm talking to. It's not about what I want and what I think, because emotions can overpower how we see everything around us. And so for me, I was like, no, I need to check in with myself on that. That's what, like, it's weird to say this, but even through all the trauma I went to, gave me strengths in be able to handle chaotic situations, if that makes sense.
It
So
does.
that's what I would say.
And the last question about the 5150, is there like, is you said that it was like a test. You claimed three things, and is it like one alert, two alert, then you go in, or three alert, then you go in, or one alert, maybe skittish, let's talk this out?
So yeah, it will, let's say, from my experience, from what I remember, let's say we'll get a call, maybe a family member worried about their son, their daughter, like someone worried about somebody else. We'll go in and we'll assess. We'll say, okay, what's the severity level here? Do they have a means? Do they have a plan? Do they have intent? Over time, I've gotten really well at figuring out like how someone is. Like, is there passive SI versus active? Passive, if a bus was coming, I wouldn't get out the way. Active, I would jump in front of the bus. There's like the difference between action versus like not doing anything. And so I would look at that. I would look at how likely is their plan? How strong is that feeling? Do they have them? Like, if you're going to say, TJ, yeah, I'm going to kill myself, but I'm going to drive 3 hours to the closest bridge in FS to kill myself. I'm like, okay, how likely is that person going to do that and within 2 hours not think about something else? I'm always, as I'm hearing words, I'm always assessing, always thinking things through, always going, what am I hearing and what I'm not hearing? Can this person really do this thing? Is this possible? Oh, I'm going to take a bunch of meds for my house. That's possible. Yeah, they might need to be on a 5150. It's assessing. I think one thing I've hated is like law enforcement tend to do 5150s, and I'm sorry, they're not the best at it. They will put people on 5150s that don't need to be on it, because I would have to evaluate the 5150s that came into the hospital, and they would have some of the, I'm sorry, not the best things on. They would say, oh, this client talked about wanting to hurt themselves. Okay, that's a lot of people. What do you mean? What makes this person different? They said they wanted to jump off a bridge. What bridge? There's 100 bridge. I mean, in the bridge in 30 minutes away, 2 hours away, 3 hours away. You have to look at the fine details. People think about the overview, like, oh yeah, he wants to kill himself. That's it. Whatever. No. What's the plan? What's the mean? That's what I'm looking at. I don't want to take anybody's rights away. I hate that feeling. I hate that power. So I'm going to make sure, are you really going to do this? Or are you just in a heightened emotional state and just need someone to talk to? If you need someone to talk to, congratulations, I'm a therapist. What's up? Like, does that kind of make sense?
Yes, that makes perfect sense. Tell me about what we were talking about off the show when you were talking about body language, reading
Here's the
body language.
one thing I've learned being a therapist is people will hide, their minds will hide, and their bodies will betray. It's from their legs fidgeting, their eyes looking somewhere else. There's a little bit of shakiness. Maybe they're like more backwards. Like when I sit with a client, I always sit kind of like this, but if I want to show them I have more attention, I move forward closer. It automatically registers in the plane. Oh, he's listening. He's really attentive. Or they'll like push back, like, I don't want to talk about that, and they'll look down and look up. It's like, okay, what is that telling me? That's telling me that they're not saying the truth, or this is else is going on. You start like you mentally start slowing down. I've worked in crisis and in chaos so much that it became like a natural like ability, intuitive at this point, to just like, what is your body saying? Even through yours telling me this, that you're saying you're fine. Are you really fine? Because your body's saying you're kind of stressed out right now, based on the leg shaking, based on your hands moving. Your body will tell me everything, even if you don't want to say it out loud. That's what I would see about body language. It's your body and your mind work in sync. If your brain knows something, your body knows it too, and it's gonna tell me whether you like it or not. That's how I would say it.
Wow. Well said. So, tell me about forensics and how have you ever used what you use to catch criminals or evaluate them to see if they're, because you said that you do it where you see if they're productive to society. What constitutes being productive? Have they ever lied?
So it's not like catching criminals. This was a conditional release program. The idea was these were the people who were deemed, hey, you're ready for community reintegration. Like you've been in the state hospital for so long, now you're a bit more stabilized. Let's put you into a community. And my company at the time was in charge of making sure these groups of like people that have been released are doing better. Are they mentally better? Are they able to like, stay out of trouble kind of thing? And would they lie? Yeah, they're human. They're gonna lie. Like it's impossible to say nobody lies. Everybody lies, even the smallest. It was more just like, are they keeping up and holding themselves accountable? Are they really being responsible? They would be like, they had an allowance. They lived together in like a big house, and there was like different rooms. They were doing mental health groups. We ran like an emotional regulation group for them. I had my own caseload, and I would check in with them every while saying, hey, how are you doing with this? Have you been working on these skills? Stuff like that. I just, sometimes it felt like the conditional release program, the whole system of itself, kind of didn't know what they were doing. There were people that were severely mentally ill, with people who had like 1 or 2 episodes, but made a mistake. It's like, you made a mistake, but now you have to deal with 8 years of this. How is that? Like, it doesn't make sense. And I've always hated that. But that's what I've seen working in mental health through different systems, the issues, the flaws, let's just say not the best things. And also the bright part, people really putting their effort and time into it. People of different lives trying to really help other people. And for me, like that was amazing. But with the clients themselves, it was just they knew they messed up. They knew that they want to get better. They just didn't know how. They had like if I grew up in trauma, if I grew up in violence, if I grew up in survival, my brain ain't thinking, oh, what's going to be tomorrow? I'm living authentic. It's, hey, the world is a scary place and my goal is to survive. The brain is not here to make you happy. It's here to keep you alive, whatever means necessary. And that's what people forget. The brain is an organ. It's going to keep you alive. So if you need to suppress emotions, keep you in fight or flight mode, its goal is survival. Whatever you want, that's second. To survive means more for the brain. So helping them understand you don't need to keep living in survival mode, that you can live authentically, but it's scary because your whole life you've been told one thing and now here I am telling you, yeah, no, that's not true. Like it's a lot for people. So I slowly worked with them over time and like letting go of being fight or flight, letting go and learning to regulate themselves in a more healthier way. Was it perfect? No. Were there slip ups? Yes, because people are humans. To make humans is to make mistakes. That what makes us great and kind of dumb. That's what I'd
Did
say.
you have to evaluate yourself for and check yourself, sometimes in heated situations with dealing with other clients?
So it's funny. It wasn't the clients. It actually was the other therapists. Um, I'm a deeply passionate and intense person. If I see an injustice, I'm gonna call it out. But I also had moments where my own. I'll, I'll share like a story about what happened. I was working with this client that lived far away. It was like a 2 hour drive to see him, and he was a really cool dude. I actually did like talking to him. He was going through cancer. He was diagnosed with a certain form of cancer, and at the same time, my dad was diagnosed with cancer and was going through chemotherapy. And I don't have the best relationship with my dad. Me and him have history. And
Mhm.
so I was dealing with my own inner conflict around my dad getting cancer, but also this client. So there was like counter transference for me. There was this, like, I was putting this deeper passion and wanting to be supportive to this client. And over time I became aware of it. I was like, I'm doing a lot more than I normally would for one client, only for one client. And so I had to really check in on myself. I had to stop and say, what is really going on that I don't want to admit to myself? And I had to admit I'm putting my feelings and how I feel about my dad having cancer onto doing as much as I can for this client because of my relationship with my dad, because of my own conflicted feelings. I had to really work on myself and say and tell my supervisor, hey, I need a temporary pause from working with this client. My emotions and what I'm going through in my personal life is too much right now because it connects too much with this client's issues. So I had to like take a step back and everything. So it and the other therapist, like I feel like sometimes they wouldn't care as much or they would try to make it minimize like the needs of a client. And that really pissed me off. Like I would like, no, he's been doing great. He should be allowed to have these things. What do you mean you can't? Like that's not okay. I am a big debater, and that's why like I put myself into it. I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense. They deserve this. So often the conflict was with other therapists than it was with the clients. I like the clients. Me and the clients got along really well. Were there tense moments where they're not being happy with the results or something happened where they lost their privileges? Yeah, but we always work things out. It's always conflict resolutions. I also work as a high conflict couples therapist. And for high conflict couples, communication is not about arguing and not arguing. It's how do you resolve an argument afterwards. So even if me and a client didn't see eye to eye, how do I resolve after it? How do I admit to where I messed up and they can feel comfortable knowing that I'm trying to understand them, not trying to be understood myself, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Where are you going in the future with collaborating with different companies or organizations about like from forensic science to everything else? What are you going to do for the future?
I I'm a highly ambitious person. It's something about myself I love and hate. It's like a curse and a blessing. I want to open up a nonprofit. I see struggle and I see the experiences of others. And I feel like in this country, there's a lot going on where people need support. For me, I want to open a nonprofit called Branches of Support that are established in different communities that are adapted to those communities. Do you need mental health? Boom, we got you. We got community like counseling services. We have like physical health where you can go take like a gym class for 45 minutes that has someone to help you. You have a little bit of case management, substance use. Right now, it's a big and ambitious dream, and you got to be realistic, but one of the biggest things I think I want to do within this like nonprofit is cultural connections. People that are second generation, third generation immigrants who have been, lost a sense of their culture, lost their sense of connecting with who they used to come from. Go take a class where you learn Hispanic cooking, or take a class where you make Indian food, make like connect with different arts and crafts and connections like there's in Indian culture, there's Bhangra. I want to have like a class for Bhangra for people that want to reconnect with that part of like dancing in Indian culture. For me, that's amazing. That's to reconnect because as someone who's been so Americanized, someone who has lost a lot of their cultural identity, I don't want anything to ever happen that to another kid, to another person coming to this country. Your culture makes it's a part of you. It's who you are. I don't care how long it's been since you've been from your continent, from your hometown, whatever, or your home country. It's still a part of you. You cannot lose that. It affects you. And I want people to reconnect with that, to feel culturally connected. That's one thing I help with my clients is how can we find you ways to reconnect with your culture? That's what I would say.
Okay. And how can the people reach you?
Um, the best way to reach me is through my website, supportspiritcounseling.com, or they can reach out to me at 916-229-8868. Just type in support spirit counseling and therapy on Google. You'll find me. I'm still like an up and coming like private practice. I've been doing this all on my own, and that's what I care about the most is trying to connect with people that are dealing with like identity issues, complex traumas that have never healed, who are stuck in patterns they want to break. But that's the thing about me. I'm not surface level. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to say the things you don't want to say because it's uncomfortable. You're going to learn to sit in uncomfortable emotions to be able to overcome them. It's not fear is not something you go underneath or over. You go through it. I will help you get there. That's how I do.
Well said. Stay on the line. How can I already asked you how can the people reach you? So stay on the line. You guys take care, be safe, and I will see you guys another time. Thank you.